This is breaking news from Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
And that breaking news right now is right there, Passaic River in Passaic County, New Jersey. And we are told from Newscopter 7, we can see a person being pulled out of the water, rescued from the water. We've been watching it unfold all afternoon.
New Jersey reporter Anthony Johnson's been on the scene there for a while. Anthony, bring us up to date.
Yeah, we just saw the state trooper chopper lift somebody out the water, but it took that person onto the other shore. That's the Clifton side. We saw them propelled down into the water. Then they strapped somebody on with a rescue worker, and then they just lifted them up into the air, took them over to the other side. Now, we've been watching this operation for the last 45 minutes or so. We've seen the fire boat that's underwater. Apparently, this fire boat was being used in a rescue effort, but then it flipped over, so they've been dealing with that. We just want to show you apparently how this whole thing began right at the falls. This is called the Dundee Dam, where we understand that workers were cleaning trees on the other side. You may be able to see a boat. It looks like it's barely hanging over the falls. Somebody apparently fell from a boat that was doing that work. That's when the rescue operators had to come in here, and they started doing that operation to pull that person out of the water. And then as they were working, apparently their fireboat flipped over. Now, we said just a few moments ago, we have video of the person being lifted up, state police chopper being used. You can see the person being dropped into the water, then the rescue worker ties them on, and then they lift that person up. They propelled up into the air a good 50 to 60 feet, and then they took both of them to the other side. That's where the Clifton Fire Department, Police Department, Elmwood Park, and other rescuers are working at this point. We've seen a number of people propelling for a rope on the other side. It looks like there's a storm drain right there. There's also a yellow raft that they've been trying to put down into the water. Now, rescue workers are all along this side of the Passaic River. Now, as we said, this is called the Dundee Falls, so the water is moving very, very rapidly at this point in time. So a lot of power in the current right here. You might be able to hear that state police chopper over us once again. You can see one person apparently outside of that chopper looking down at the situation out here on the ground. We're still waiting to get an update from the Clifton Police and Fire Department, but obviously they are very, very busy. This has been an active scene at least for the last hour and 15 minutes. We got out here on the scene first about 45 to 50 minutes ago, and they've been busy ever since. Rescuers still in the water at this time, and you're watching that state police chopper right over. We could tell by the force of the propellers, you could see it coming down onto the water, because it all of a sudden starts to foam at the bottom of the river. So that's when we know they're coming down a little bit closer to make whatever move they're trying to make. But you do have a couple of rescuers that are in the water standing over there. Obviously, it's not too deep at that point, but there is a fireboat that flipped over at one point in time doing a rescue effort as they were trying to pull one of the contractors out of the water. So the situation here continues, this active scene continues, and rescue operations will continue. That is the latest live from Garfield, New Jersey. Anthony Johnson, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Anthony, just a couple quick questions. You've been watching this. It looks like the guy was okay. Is there any fear that there's someone else in the water?
At this point in time, we can't tell, Bill, if there's anybody else in the water, but we can certainly see that the boat is underwater. You can kind of see, I guess, the top of the engine from over here. Now, I'm not sure state police the troopers are dropping that helicopter down again. You can see one of the rescuers being propelled down. He's coming back down into the water. Looks like he'll be moving closer. He's trying to get a little bit closer to where they're standing right now, but you can see all of this action, and just notice how much water comes up. The waves of water comes up as that chopper, that blade, is really turning quite fast and causing all of that action on the water here. This is a high current area, the Dundee Falls right here. Current is coming down, and with all the rain that we've had, that means there's a tremendous amount of water in the river. It's the Passaic River. So this action down here, this effort down here continues, and this is pretty fascinating to watch. He looks like he's being lifted back up into the chopper at this point in time. We'll probably have to get most of the information from the Clifton Fire Department once they finish, but state troopers are working over the scene right now. Just watching, you can see he's dangling. It looks like about a good 100 feet from the bottom of that chopper. He did already lift somebody out of the water. They took them to the other side, so we're just waiting to see what's going to happen at this point.
Anthony, it looks like we're about to see another rescue. He's coming down to get that guy. It appears to us.
Yeah, it does look like he's coming down to get somebody, but they also appear to be standing up. I don't know if they're in the boat that is sunk and stuck on a rock. We've been waiting to try to get those details. But Bill, as we said, this all started with some contractors. They were working to clean trees on the sides of the river, and then one of the contractors apparently went over the Dundee Falls. And then the rescue operators, they came out here, they had a fireboat. That fireboat, you could see it, it is now underwater. So state troopers are doing whatever they can to help in this rescue effort. And at some point in time, we're watching to see if this rescuer is going to come all the way down, or they're just trying to move them closer to where the fireboat is located. They already did it once. They lifted somebody up, took them to the other shore, and quite possibly that's what they're doing right now. But he's dangling. You can see that, and they're just trying to work to get as close as he possibly can. Swung behind the trees a little bit, and apparently he's going to come back from behind that tree. And you can just see this is a fascinating operation taking place here. No update on any injuries at this point in time, but looks like he's making it a little bit closer down to the water. It looks like he sends up some hand signals, and then they continue to just drop him down slowly down into the Passaic River.
What we suspect, Anthony, is the man on the boat, the firefighters trying to grab the strap so they can maybe reel him into the fireboat so he's got a solid perch and they can get this operation completed.
It's also interesting to see how much wind is put together there from these falls, and that's what's happening. That's why that guy's having such a hard time. He is literally floating in the wind there and blowing in the wind, and they just can't get him down. Now they're pulling him up. Anthony, we're going to stay with this until we hear different from our booth here, but I think this is a dramatic thing we're seeing here. And fortunately, it doesn't appear like anyone is underwater.
Totally back up. No, he's back up closer to the chopper, but still dangling out the chopper. And what they had been doing, they had been trying to do this effort from the side over there. You see where that yellow raft is? That is a storm drain over there. And they had guys on ropes trying to propel down that storm drain to make it to the fireboat. But apparently, for some reason, they decided not to put that yellow boat in this water. You can see, once again, it is very rapid. The current is very, very rapid. So they're trying once again. The rescuer is coming down from that state trooper chopper, and they're moving very close. I'm sorry, it's a little bit loud out here, as you can tell, because those rotors, when they're turning, it makes a whole lot of noise out here. And you can see when it's closer, because those bubbles, foam starts to rise up over the water, and now they're trying to once again position the guy that's coming down, dangling. They're trying to just get him in the right spot, possibly to, like you said, Bill and Sandra, to get the person that is in the boat. I would assume that the current is too strong for that person simply just to walk out. It doesn't really look like that they're that far from the shoreline. Now, while this is all happening, we can tell you that ambulances, emergency crews are all standing by. As a matter of fact, there's emergency crews about 100 yards down the river just waiting to see what's going to happen here, but to make sure that nothing else happens, that anybody gets lost or starts to go over, or the water current starts to take them down the river. So this is a very tense situation right here. You can see the continuing effort. That rescuer is getting very close, and he moves back and forth. He's just swinging back and forth, just trying to get the best angle to come down. Now they're lifting him back up again. The state chopper is just moving back a little bit, and they're going to try to attempt to do this once again. You can see this is a very heroic effort, and we'll hopefully in a few minutes be able to pull that guy that apparently is stuck in the boat. They'll be able to wrap a cord around him and lift him up. They've already done that with one person. Hopefully they'll be able to do that with this second person very, very shortly.
The wind from the helicopter is also causing some problems.
Yeah, Anthony, this is Lee Goldberg. You know, it's interesting because they're starting, you can see by the foam that's coming up from the Passaic. Number one, they're fighting the current, but what's happening is the prop from the helicopter is also creating these vortices, and you can see it right there, whether it's vertical or in the horizontal. There's all these type of different wind flows, which they can't get a stable, straight drop in there is what's happening, and then they're fighting the current as well. But clearly that fireboat was disabled, and now, I mean, he looks like he's in a safe position, lodged in toward the side there, but they have to get him out of. There's no other way to get out, but the problem is they're causing spray, which is reducing visibility. They got those vortices that are making him go back and forth, and he just wants to grab that strap. And
if they brought the helicopter any lower, which they could, if they didn't have all that kind of wind being churned up. That's one of the problems.
And then you put the copter in jeopardy if you come that much slower. We're watching for any showers around the area there, which there are not, because that would also kick up the winds a little more. So far they have a window where it's just dry.
You're watching, just to recap, as we started with Eyewitness News at 5 o'clock a few minutes ago, 8 minutes ago, talking about this in the Passaic River in Clifton, New Jersey. They were trying to do some sort of contract work with trees there, and all of a sudden the boat went over those falls. It doesn't look like huge falls unless, of course, you're in that boat. And that's what happened.
Remember, we've had 3 to 6 inches of rain over northwest New Jersey, so things are flowing faster as well.
And the good news is here, right now, we don't have word of any injuries, even though this has been going on for quite some time. The biggest issue appears to be actually being able to get those first responders out of that disabled fireboat.
And it looks like they're not in the terrible position right now, that no one's going to drown right now. It doesn't look like, but you never know. They did get one person out, one contractor, who came out of there, and he was lifted up. He did not look like he was injured, at least from this vantage point. We've got a pretty good glimpse of his face.
So,
and
Bill, they did.
Go ahead.
Bill and Sandra, they lifted out. The state chopper went away just for a second. It looks like they're going to try to wrap around again, maybe get a better angle, and everything that you were talking about, Lee, as far as how it affects the water and all the waves and all of that. Absolutely true, because you could see it from our vantage point that whenever the chopper came close to the water, all the foam started to shoot up, and right in that area it looked like the current was just going in multiple directions. So there was a lot of action. That guy, he put his hands up, that's still waiting in the boat. He had his hands up for quite a while after they left because he's still waiting to be rescued. So he keeps looking up into the sky, hoping that they'll come back very, very shortly and make another attempt out here. Once again, this is the Dundee Falls. This is about a 15 to 20 foot drop. The contractors were working on the water. They were trying to cut back some of the trees, but apparently one of the contractors went overboard. The crews came out here to do the rescue. Fireboat then apparently flipped over at the time, and then at least 2 people that were in the fireboat were stuck in the water. One has already been pulled out. No word on the first person that went in at this point in time, and you see the second person is still waiting. We still hear the state chopper. It's off at a distance right now, but there's no telling, it may be back here at the scene very, very soon.
Anthony, can I just ask you, that boat seems wedged right now. To the left of our perspective where they're looking, if that were to become dislodged, I mean, does that go towards shore? Are there more drops after that? Can you tell from your perspective?
Well, Lee, it's all about the currents out here, because we can't, I mean, it is moving out here. You talked about that 3 to 6 inches of rain, and anytime we get that much rain, it just makes the water on the Passaic River move at such a rapid current. So it doesn't look like it's far away. As a matter of fact, from my vantage point, it seems like you would be able to step across, but I'm not sure how deep it is on that side, if there are rocks on that side, and if the current, the river kind of gets a little bit narrow from this point. So they do have crews down there waiting just in case that person happens to get caught in the current. But it still is very, very fast here. So they're doing everything they can to make sure they can try to pull them out.
One reason it looks like, from our point of view anyway, that there is a drop there. I don't know if it's very big, but there is a drop there. Those, against that far picture, that's going very fast, and it's not just current fast. It looks like it's going downhill and picking up speed.
Yeah.
At least from our vantage point.
And which what else you see on the other side, Bill, there's a storm drain on the other side, and water is rushing out of there. So that's just pushing more water into the river. So that's making currents on 2 or 3 sides very, very fast at this point.
Wow.
Yeah, Anthony, and a good reminder that this operation has been successful partially. They have been able to remove one person from that stranded boat. We were able to capture video of that. This is what you're looking at now. They were successfully able to lift. I'm assuming that is also a first responder.
Yeah.
They were able to lift off. He's talking. So they know they can do it. It appears at this point in time, it's a matter of being able to get in the right position to enable the rescuer to drop down right over that stranded boat.
Yeah, this is a very delicate operation, I can tell you. Just watching it right from the very beginning, how they tried to position themselves over the water. And the chopper got here. They took a few moments. They were, I guess, getting everything prepared at that point in time, trying to figure out how to do that first drop. That first drop happened rather rapidly, but you saw the second drop where the rescuer was dangling. And there's a slight breeze out here, so I'm sure that plays a factor, especially when you're out there on that water. We talked about the rotors, all the power coming down, and so all of that is playing a very big factor. You just saw the rescuer, seems like he's now standing on the edge of the boat.
Yeah, it looks closer.
And once again, that doesn't look like he's very far from that shore. If you take a little closer look, you can see that he's kind of lifted himself up out of the boat, and he's just waiting for, I guess, the rescue operation to continue, whether or not they continue to bring the chopper back over, or you could see that yellow raft on the other side if they make a decision to go ahead and use that. They're trying all the options they possibly can to get that guy out of that pretty partially or mostly sunken fireboat in the water.
Can you tell how much distance there is between that
The boat and the shore?
Yeah, and that little inflatable boat, that rescue boat?
It appears to me from this side, now I'm on the Garfield side, that's on the Clifton side.
Got it.
So from my vantage point, and I got my cameraman Rob Cantwell here, would you say that's 15 to 20 feet from that yellow raft to where he's standing? He's saying about 15 to 20 feet. As we were talking, we can now see the state chopper is now coming back over the water. I guess they're going to make another effort. You might be able to hear the rotors in the background starting to come back over the Passaic River. So apparently they're going to try to do this one more time. I guess they're trying to figure out what is the best way to go ahead and do it. And we'll take you up there and show you there's already, the rescuer is already starting to dangle. You can see he's making a slow approach downwards. They're trying to get right to the right spot. We saw them try this a little bit earlier. It was a difficult task, but let's see what they're able to do right now. You can see him coming down very, very slowly. He's kind of giving hand signals to, I guess, the pilot up top to let him know, move me in a little bit closer. You can see his hand, his right hand keeps pushing, saying, move me in a little bit closer. He's now more stable. Now he's still moving. He kind of turned around, and he's trying to get to that area right behind the tree. Still coming down very, very slowly. And we're going to probably lose him right behind this tree for just a moment here.
We can see
we'll
him.
see him again on this other side.
You do not want to. You want to have him swinging. That's the key.
Closer.
They're going to try to avoid getting him swinging.
That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yes, and you see they've done a good job. Once again, there goes the foam, so that tells you how much closer they are to the water.
But this was a different mode of attack here.
Now.
This was a different mode of attachment and getting him there. And he's already got, he's going to try to hold on.
He's in the water.
There he goes.
He's in the water. He's in the water. He's over there. He's got him now. All right, we'll watch. You can hear some people. I'm on the other side here, on the Garfield side. A lot of people have been gathered over here. They just applauded. So you can see they're wrapping the attachment around him. In a few seconds, I'm sure we'll secure that on him. The safety harness is now being attached to him. And once that happens, then it appears that they'll be able to safely lift this second person out of the water. We'll watch, but once again, when that helicopter is close to the water, you still see all that action, but finally they got him. And look, there he goes. They go. It looks like there he goes. There they go.
And those guys with the rope were hanging on for dear life.
They got him.
Hey, you saw that flag going. They were doing this in 30, 40 mile an hour winds created by that helicopter.
That's what it was, you think? Yeah.
Oh, yes.
And this time they went up without swinging as much, and I think that made the big difference. Wow, that is just an incredible thing we just saw, folks, that this guy came down for the second time. They dropped him down slower, and he was not swinging so much despite all that turbulence from the chopper. And they're going to bring him down,
and
I
now
think.
They're going to take him over to the other side.
To the other side, right.
They did it. They did that with the first guy, so they're going over to the Clifton side. That's where they're dropping him down. But as you can see, that's going to take a moment too.
It's also very risky, Anthony.
On that side, so
this is very risky what they're doing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely, Bill. All right, we're watching it. You can see it coming closer down to the ground. And there's rescuers on the ground. Once he gets close enough, they'll be able to pull him down. He might be behind that
We're going
tree.
to watch it. We watch it on camera.
We can see that they finally got him. Yep, we got it right there. He's down on the ground. That was the second person that was in the boat, finally down on the ground. Successful operation. We watched it all right here all afternoon. Very fascinating stuff taking place here. The information is going to, of course, come from the other side, the Clifton side, because they're the ones that are doing all the work. Now that state police rescuer, he's going back up to the chopper. His day is done. What a successful operation. But quite a bit risky. He seems like he's waving at people over here to say everything went as well as they anticipated. That was something
Anthony,
else, right?
That was an amazing thing what we saw
job.
from you describing it as it was happening for this last hour or so. And we really appreciate you staying on the scene, and along with your photographer. Great work from everybody. We saw 2 people get rescued, not arrested. They were not arrested. They were going into some arrest, I'm afraid. It was very scary, and we saw it unfold all afternoon. And Anthony, good job to you and your photographer staying with us. Wow, it's a way to start a Wednesday at 5 o'clock.